Thanks to the photography.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Hello, good morning, afternoon, evening, namaskar. I'm Anand Prakash, convener for India Quality Association, welcoming you all netizens of this digital planet to this Foundation Day celebration program, which is starting today. We have organized 3 sessions across 3 days with 3+ experts and our panel discussing one topic across 3 domains: business, social, and education sector. We hear that culture is needed to achieve excellence. We also hear that excellence is needed to make a culture. To address this culture conundrum, we have brought experts from across the globe working in various social cultures and who have done work in various business cultures across the world to discuss and share their perspective and experience on challenges and solutions for sustaining culture of excellence. That is, yes, the topic for this session, and that will be the topic for our day 2 and day 3 session. As we are doing the formal inauguration of this 3-day event to celebrate the Foundation Day of India Quality Association, I am so pleased to have with us Mr. Sunil Agrahari, who is a senior music teacher working with Alcon International Delhi, and he is an accomplished composer. He has won various awards globally as well as nationally in the field of music, and he will be starting with Ganesh Vandana and Saraswati Vandana, and after that I will share with you today's program and will proceed further. So I am requesting Mr. Sunil to go over with your Vandana. Thank you.
First of all, अतिथि देवो भव, तो आप सभी का मैं स्वागत करता हूं, वेलकम करता हूं, and I'm welcoming starting prayer of Ganesh Vandana with the instrument. कुंदेन्दु तुषारहार नवल या शुभ्रवस्त्रावृता या वीणावरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेतपद्मासना या ब्रह्मशुद्धशङ्कर प्रविष्टदेवै सदा वन्दिता सा मां पातु सरस्वती भगवती शेषजाड्यां ब्रह्मोत्तां ब्रह्मचार परमा माद्यां जगद्व्यापिनी वीणा पुस्तकधारिणी महयता हस्ते स्फटिकमालिका निदधति पद्मासने संस्थिता वन्दे तां परमेश्वरी भगवती शेषजाड्यां प्रदां शारदा प्रदां शारदा प्रदां शारदा Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It was wonderful. And having blessings from Lord Ganesha and having blessings from Ma Saraswati, I am 100% sure that this session is going to be a super and duper experience to all of us. Thank you. Thank you very much. Once again, it was wonderful to have you here. Proceeding further, I would also like to take this opportunity to share with the members and the participants here the vision for which the India Quality Association was formed 6th of February 2020. And that's where we are now celebrating the first Foundation Day, the annual celebration. So this group was formed with a vision to be the prime mover for enhancing and sustaining value realization in quality management and business excellence through identification and harnessing the right and relevant methods, global best practices, and technologies across domains, geographies, and businesses. And based on this vision, we have also identified the mission, and also we have a 6-point charter which is available on our website www.indiaqualityassociation.org, which was launched on 28th of November by Dr. Mahesh, who is a professor in New Orleans University, USA. So with this, I'm highly excited and pleased to have such a expertise lined up for today's panel discussion. And we have the moderator, Praveen Goyal, who has 25 years of IT and management experience using agile and lean practices for last 15 years. He has helped many companies to transform into lean enterprises. He has been working as an agile coach for last 5 years. He's Lean Six Sigma Black Belt, and he lives in a beautiful state of Connecticut, just north of New York. So we are starting right from the west, and I hand it over to Praveen to please introduce the today's session, today's panelist, as well as the topic for the day. Over to you, Praveen. Thank you.
Thank you, Anand. Again, good evening, good morning, and good afternoon, everyone. We have participants from all over the different time zone in the world today. So again, I am Praveen Goyal. I am from Connecticut, USA. And I extend again very warm welcome to all the audience on behalf of IQA. And I'll be your facilitator for this workshop on sustained culture of excellence, the challenges and solution. So main purpose of today's workshop is to gain insight and knowledge from our industry experts on how to sustain the culture of excellence. And today we have esteemed panel with vast relevant experience on this topic to enlighten us. So please throughout the discussion, please keep pouring your questions and your comment via chat so that we can all benefit from this discussion. And we'll try to answer all the questions at the end of the session. And now let me just start with a quick introduction. So we have with us Jagdish Ramaswamy. He's the President and Chief Digital Officer of Hindalco Industries, and he has more than 3 decades of experience across multiple sectors like telecom, IT, manufacturing, and he has vast experience, especially around field of quality and business excellence. And Jagdish is also heavily involved in one NGO, Akshay Patra Foundation, which is feeding around 1.5 million children every day. As a chief operating officer there, he's responsible for enhancing operational efficiencies in the whole process. So welcome, Jagdish. Welcome. And we also have Ravi Venkatraman. He's very accomplished multilingual CEO of Kaarvy innotech. He has exceptional leadership track record, strong expertise in driving business transformation for multiple corporations in domestic and international markets, a very dynamic leader in managing strategy and operational excellence. Ravi is also, very, very much interested in photography and theater. So welcome, Ravi. Welcome. And we also have Madhusmita Nayak. She's a certified business excellence professional joining us from UAE. She has more than 10 years of experience in leading organizational excellence assessment for more than 50 companies in private sector and government sector. And she was instrumental in numerous performance improvement, for many organizations. And she called herself as a quality mom on LinkedIn. So welcome, Madhu. And we also have Adam Mattis from North Carolina joining us. And he's a partner and enterprise advisor to Scale Agile. He's a mentor to enterprises and helping organizations in achieving business agility. And he's also helping enterprises focus on moving from project to product mindset and adopting new approaches to the technology. And he's a trainer for coaches. He writes blogs, he produces video blogs, he writes books, and he's a triathlete. Only God knows, how he finds time for all this. So welcome, Adam. Welcome. Okay. So let's begin with our discussion today, and I just want to quickly remind all our panelists. So please try to, keep your responses around 3 minutes or so that we can stay on the time. So I'll start with Adam. Adam, can you please tell us what exactly, culture of excellence means to you, and how would you like to explain it for our audience?
Sure. I think in modern business terms, the simplest way to think about it is we stop focusing on outputs and start focusing on outcomes. When as an organization, we can all start moving towards the same place and for the purpose of delighting the same set of customers, the culture in the organization will start to shift from one of inner competition to one of broader service. So when we look at making those shifts and we start focusing on the variables that are the people whose lives we impact, it's much easier to promote quality and excellence in all that we do, because it's now more than just ourselves and our inner competition and the things that seek to serve kind of the inner workings of the social structures of the organization. So by elevating others, we thereby elevate quality and promote a stronger culture that seeks to serve the greater good.
Thank you, Adam. Fascinating insight. Ravi, what's your take on this point? Ravi, you are on mute.
Yeah, he made a very valid point. It's important to focus on outcome rather than output. I also firmly believe in the business excellence. Outbid everything by your effort. Results is only a question of time, right? And that's how the business portfolio gets built up. Well said, Adam. I think it's quite encouraging to listen to you the way you narrated it so simply. Thank you.
Thank you, Ravi. And Jagdish sir, what's your take on this question?
Yeah, so let me give a little bit different perspective. While we spoke about outcome, I think it's important that when you realize excellence, it's all about people. At the end of the day, I think it's about consistency in the way people deliver and consistency at the practices. It's easy to say that move from output to outcome, but to get there, it really takes when you building a culture is about habits that we form over many, many years, right? So if you look at a Toyota, they took 30 years to just name something called a Toyota production system, which they didn't realize that they took 25 years to build. So my point is, I think while at the leadership level, it's very easy to say you shift from output to outcome. I think it has to percolate at every level as what is the practice you're going to change. If you have to make that change from output to outcome, what are the fundamental practices you're going to change at the people level, at the shop floor, at the frontline managers, at the senior leadership? So everywhere you have to change. Culture is about practices, habits that we form and we do basically as an unconscious, what I call as unconscious competence, right? So for me, I think setting the tone at the top management, what you need to do and percolating it down systematically and over many years is when companies exist. And one thing that really is important for a culture of excellence to think, and we have seen many companies who have been successful and not successful, is a purpose-driven organizations are having higher chance of imbibing a culture because the purpose keeps them alive for a longer time. The practices the managers go change. But I think if you're purpose-driven and there are certain set of practices that you consistently are able to dwell into your people, I call as a culture of excellence in an organization.
Thank you, Jagdish. Very good insight. Madhu, you want to add to this?
Yes, definitely. I will add to all the panelists and what especially Mr. Jagdish told. There should be the culture of excellence where there is constancy of purpose and where everyone speak at the same line, at the same purpose, and where the leaders, they are very much front driven, where they take everyone along with that. So I'll add what Jagdish just told. There has to be purpose driven, but it has to be constant across all levels of management. Thank you.
Thank you, Madhu. Okay. Yes, Ravi, you want to add something?
Praveen, I have one small observation. I know everybody is a very eminent panelist here. One of the important things which we all need to remember, the pandemic called COVID-19 has rewritten all the trustworthy management principles out of the window. Let's be honest about that. So when you're building excellence, my advice to my team and to my counterparts and peer group in this country, where I interact regularly with them, do not build an organization to last. Your excellence measures should be in place to build an organization to adapt. As long as that point can be driven, that if enterprise through excellence can be built to adapt and you arrived. I mean, that's what I firmly believe in. And to that extent, I agree with Adam that do not focus on outcome and focus on output. Thank you.
Very good point, Ravi. Very good point. Okay. So let's go to our next question. And Ravi, we'll just continue with you. So in your experience, what has been the top challenge in sustaining the culture, and how you addressed it?
I think it's a very close to my heart question. Thanks for Praveen posing this question to me. And I'm practically living in that fire every day. I'll narrate a small story that it's about 3.5 years ago. We happened to acquire an IT entity, which is one of the flagship company of a leading IT brand in this country. For practical reasons, I can't name the brand which I acquired. So when I acquired this brand has been in this country for about over 3.5 decades. We bought the entire company lock, stock, and barrel, along with the people. And I was the only new animal. Before I go there, I just wanted to share a small experiment of mine. World over, best of the institutes and the management education institutes in the globe has written this and documented this. Whenever there is a merger and acquisition happens, that the new acquirer walks along with his own management team and shoots at everyone saying that, hey, you are fit for nothing. Because of you, this company went down the drain and I'm taking over and this is my setup management team. And I wanted to experiment this with a very sense of commitment. I walked into the entity and I'm the only new animal in the block. 3 things we did quite successfully. We acquired a loss-making entity, Anand is smiling, and it had an accumulated losses for over 6 years of time. I had the same set of people. We built processes. The entire team, the first week we did 2 things. We said, excellence is the only way of life for us here. Anyone who doesn't believe in that, you can walk out of this room. That's my first town hall address, which I made to my team member. Then I said, if you have a firm belief that you are the founding member of this company, and if you are the brand ambassadors of this company, you're welcome to stay back and listen to the conversation. So first thing we did, we integrated the people, connected them with processes, then built technology overlay. All we did was enabling the same set of people, teaching them and making them realize why is it so important for you to drive something called performance as an excellent metrics, dividing the team into core and support and enable them, touch wood, till date. We are completing the 3rd year this month. We are PAT positive from the day 1 after our acquisition. Same team, same people. All we did was we put in the measure. I agree with Jagdish. My last mile connectivity in this organization speaks what I speak to you today. You can check with any of my employees. What are you for Kaarvy Innotech Limited? He will answer you that I'm a brand ambassador and I'm the founding member of this organization. So we inculcated that, and somewhere we firmly believe that in order to succeed, that ensure that your last mile speaks the same language. It got to percolate down. And please, for heaven's sake, do not build an organization to last. That era is over. Build an organization to adapt. And we are fast adapting.
Great
Thank
insight.
you.
Great insight. Jagdish sir, you want to add something to this? Any top challenges you face?
Yeah, I will add 2 very interesting things to what Ravi has so nicely said. And let me take, and I know that maybe not all of you follow cricket, but let's take the recent win that India had in Australia. Against all odds, after 33 years, we did something that nobody thought we'd do it. And then if you look at the press, it's talking a lot about how Ajinkya Rahane made a difference. If Kohli was there, would he have achieved the result? So it's important. One thing that lasting culture is what is the message from the top that people need to pick. And I think that's why I said, Ravi said exactly what, the messaging, people get it. People are looking for what am I expected to do? What is my leader talking? What is he doing? And what am I getting rewarded for, right? So I think the very big challenge of culture is how do you walk the talk? You talk, right? So maybe the results would have been different if Kohli was the captain because people adjust to what the leader is. They adjust very quickly. That's number 1. Number 2 is when you talk about culture, you look at the challenge of the current, the employee landscape. They're all youngsters, right? Millennials. All of us have this big challenge. And I go back to what Ravi said as, are you agile enough to quickly adopt a new practice and internalize it? Those days of having 20 years to institutional practice is gone today. We don't have that luxury. You have maybe 2 years, 3 years. How are you going to adapt and keep changing? And so these are my 2 words of wisdom to add to what Ravi said.
Thank you.
Just to quickly add one thing to what Jagdish has mentioned. Jagdish, many of you quality experts will not agree what I'm going to say next. In my team workshop, I conduct personal workshop to my team. We call it Punchant of Excellence. And I told them what's the meaning of agility. I asked them to write down in a piece of paper and give it to me. And without even reading them, I tore it off. I said, all of you are wrong. To me, agility means unlearning. If we don't come to the workplace every day morning, I'm prepared to unlearn. That's what Australia-India match is all about. We unlearned quite a bit from that match. And that's the reason why we won the match. Thanks, Jagdish. I'm sorry I couldn't stop it.
Good point, Ravi. Good point. Madhu, you want to add something to the challenge? Any challenge you faced in your workplace?
Yeah, before that, I just want to tell to Ravi that why you are successful, because you acted as a role model and you led by humility. That is one thing which I feel that has been absent nowadays in most of the companies, where leaders say something and they do something, so the lower level of management cannot relate it. So the thing is that we should have respect for individual and lead by humility along with agility and everything else. That's what my point.
Thank you, Madhu. So, Adam, what's your experience? Especially in this space, what kind of challenges you see in sustaining a culture of excellence?
Sure. So, I think it's important to remember where we came from and how we got to where we are. Business has been, and business people have been manufactured to think and behave in a very specific way since the turn of last century, since the early 1900s and the last 1800s, and our management structures and systems haven't changed a lot since then. You can argue that Welch, evolved them slightly at GE, but largely speaking, it's still a management structure that's defined around compliance from employees and managing a flow of work through a system. As the nature of work changes, it becomes painfully apparent that those systems no longer work. The challenge that we have is we're trying to unlearn everything that we know that has brought us success until this point and relearn a new way of working. And while we can all do that with the positive intent, when something happens that's difficult, I mean, it is true for any of us. Anytime we try and make a change, when we're posed with any sort of a significant challenge, we revert back to the behavioral patterns that gained us success the last time we had a challenge. I think where COVID has been a very positive thing is that those old structures and systems are quite apparent and capable of addressing what we face today. And the only logical answer, especially when we're dealing with knowledge work, are the new philosophies and new approaches that we've all been advocating for a long time, as the world's capacity moves from manual labor of installing brake pedals in cars to co-working with artificial intelligence and robotics and doing deep technical work every day we don't want a system who is hyper competitive and slightly afraid building some of the advanced technologies that we have today, things like self-driving cars, things like advanced diagnostics and medical equipment. We need to have the freedom to collaborate and to work together and to make mistakes and learn. And when we started working in this new world that we all experienced or were thrown into early last year, we learned that the only way we can, to what so many of you said, the only way we can be resilient and pivot and grow and adapt is if we collaborate. And that requires a new management construct. But with that said, we're all still competing for the same roles. We're all trying to figure out how you grow and succeed in a new world that still has a hangover from the previous management structures. So I think the biggest challenge that we have is to move forward when things are difficult and resist the temptation to revert back to previous behaviors and systems, because they're just not going to work for us anymore.
So Adam, let me ask a follow-up question. So you were suggesting, new structure. So what will happen to the old structure? Do you want to scrap those, or those can, stay in parallel with the old system and new system?
So if we're thinking about the structures of the hierarchy, right? I mean, it depends on the organization, and it depends on how the organization was built and what that history is. It's important to realize that hierarchies were developed for a very clear purpose, right? They weren't developed to create internal politicking and that sort of thing. Those tended to happen, but the hierarchy was there to provide us stability. It was to provide us with expertise, and it was to provide us with career pathing. When you think about those core intentions and you start thinking of a new leadership philosophy, the hierarchy makes sense, right? The management structures that we've always had do serve a valuable purpose. They provide the organization with stability. If leaders start pivoting in their behaviors from ones of direction to ones of mentoring and development, there's a very good thing that can come from that. And when we start talking about a secondary operating system that focuses on filtering the hierarchy to bring together the right people to satisfy the right customer to deliver the right value, what you're left with is a structure very similar to what we experimented with during my days at Accenture. And that was essentially a model of career counseling where leadership was a service. You self-selected who you wanted to align with to help you develop yourself, develop your skills, and develop your relationships. But that was disconnected from the work that you did every day. You worked with a program team or an account team to focus on delighting the customer independent of that management structure. So I think it's foolish to look at a multinational organization and think the best solution for this company is to trash everything that we've done that's brought us success and completely start over. But what needs to change is how we behave in that structure and in that system. And once the behavior changes, those systems will start to naturally lean out. And if we can focus again on learning, developing people, coaching people, and then entrusting those people to delight our customers, I think the traditional hierarchy will have less of a negative connotation.
Great point, Adam. So just to summarize your thought, what you're saying is hierarchy is still needed to keep the stability and some of the other, scalability in the organization. But in order to serve a customer, we need a second operating system, which is very nimble and which is very agile in nature. So,
yes, to restate, if the hierarchy exists to develop the people, it can add value so long as the people are empowered to delight the customers and deliver value.
Thank you. Thank you, Adam. Thanks, panel. So let's move on to our third question. So I'll start with Jagdish. Jagdish, what do you think about any role of tools actually in building a culture of excellence? Can you give us some specific example? What kind of tools you use to build a culture of excellence?
So I think you are one of the person who has the list of tools, Lean, Six Sigma, everything you have. But I'm going to take a very contrary view on tools. There are two things. And again, I go back as an example of what happened recently in cricket, because that match has taught me a lot of things. And I very closely, why did we win? Everybody had a bat, everybody had a ball, everybody had the stumps. I mean, everybody had the pads. But then one team won and one team, so both of them had the same tools, right? Australia and India had the same tools that was made available. They were trained under the same processes. What's the difference between winning and losing in this case? One, I said leadership in terms of whether it's Virat Kohli versus Ajinkya Rahane. The second one, and the only tool I tell you is going to work, is the mindset. When you go in a business, customer centricity, people centricity, all of this is all about mindset and attitude. So success to me is definitely 70% the mindset and the attitude. And if you can build a tool to instill this, the only way you can do it is recruit the right people. So for me, the recruitment is biggest tool. HR is the biggest tool to get the right people, the young people with the attitude to go and win under any adverse condition. So that is, I would say that's the most important thing for a successful organization. Because now let's come to the tools, right? You name it. Kaizens, quality circles, Six Sigma, green belt, black belt, master black belt, lean, agile. Tell me a company which doesn't have it today. I can name any number of companies. I think these hard tools, unless they marry very well with the soft aspect of how the human mind is going to be tuned to success against. So in my previous organization, one thing was you will not be held, you will not be punished as long as you do right thing to the customer in terms of intention. So that's one tool. How do you instill in the people's mind that you can do anything for your customer? Second is failures are okay. Accept failures, because not everything that you take is going to be successful. So I think the tools for me more are the management and the soft tools. That's what people are looking for. Hard tools, yes, you can train people, send them for a Harvard University, Harvard, or give them a Six Sigma black belts. And you can take any number of companies who have been able to successfully deploy, not able to successfully deploy. The difference is only the attitude and the mindset to me.
Thank you, Jagdish. And you can add actually one more in the list of tools, is scaled agile, So just to, okay, let's move on. So Madhu, do you want to share any role of, especially for leadership in building a culture of excellence?
Definitely, because that is the only thing that is going to differentiate between the hard skill that Jagdish was mentioning. Like, what will take us in future when quality industry 4.0 is coming and quality 4.0 is coming, and robots will be doing most of the work. So, who will differentiate among that? Who is having more competency? So that's how the soft skills comes into picture, and most importantly, the empathy part that a leadership should have for their employees will play a major role in coming culture of excellence and business excellence culture. So I think leadership skills ingrained with empathy and soft skills will differentiate one leader from another. That is the only thing, because going forward it will be all automated. It will AI and blockchain will take the role. So that is the only soft skill which is going to differentiate one individual to another.
Thank you, Madhu. Great insight. Adam, you would like to add anything, especially around management systems, in building a culture of excellence?
Sure. So I think the most important thing to remember from my experience is that anytime you start introducing new tools, no matter what they are, is that the first thing that you want to do is figure out what works for you and your team, and then make the tool work to that context. And you see this a lot with DevOps tooling, right? Organizations feel like if they go out and purchase DevOps tooling, then amazing things will happen and they can release on demand and the automation's amazing. But what has to happen first is the cultural shift. I mean, this goes back to the root of our conversation. The behavior has to precede the outcome. So we have to start embracing a culture that's going to allow us to share responsibility, that's going to allow us to measure things for the sake of monitoring and not use measurements as a tool to punish people, right? We want to understand what's normal. We want to understand when things deviate from the norm so that we can begin to react. So again, tooling works best when you've already started to redefine and embrace new philosophies and new behavioral patterns. All the tooling is going to do, and tooling can be a physical system. It can be something like Agile, right? When we start working in any form of a transformation, I tell people all the time that agility is going to shine a big spotlight on the problems that your organization has that have been there for years. And with that spotlight, you're going to be forced to either do something about it or not. But if you choose not to address the issues, that's not, the fault of the new way of working or the new social tools that we're introducing. You've just made the decision not to address those things. So again, for any tool to work, whether it's new ways of prioritizing, new ways of defining work, new ways of managing the flow of work through a software-based system, you've got to have the behaviors in place and the appropriate mindset, values, and principles to make those tools work. So again, it all comes back to leadership, behavior, and patterns.
Great thought, Adam. Great thought. Ravi, you would like to add anything?
Quickly, Praveen, I know in the interest of the time, I would like to pick up 2 points from what Adam said. He did speak about hierarchy and he did speak about tools and automation. Then Jagdish did mention about multiple other things, including sending people to Harvard. So in our business, Jagdish, we have been interviewing a lot of youngsters to come and work for us. You'll be very surprised to know that initially we were wanting to go to the best of the B schools and best of the engineering colleges to hire people. Unfortunately, fortunately, the learning what we are having, before I go there, hierarchies, Adam, in my opinion, is like a super tanker in a battlefield. Okay. And when you look at the context of the agility which you need to bring into the business, you actually need to be a guerrilla warfare team member. That's what happened in Australia, Jagdish, right? They were quite ashamed of the performance and they were actually wanting something to happen. And there is tremendous amount of passion, country's pride was in front of them. All of them had one mission. Let's just go out and get the win, which matters. And once you tasted success, and you kept on learning multiple other stuff. And to our advantage, Australians, if you're a Super Bowl fan, Adam, you will understand what I'm saying, that if you're watching your competition and you have 20 to 30 matches to watch, you have videos, you know the techniques, you know what they're exactly doing. And it's all super tanker, right? You know how much the super tanker will take to turn and aim and shoot. And these guerrilla guys have no warfare methodology in that. There are no records, there are no history, right? There are all the bowlers put together, India didn't even win 15 wickets when they went to play on the ground, and there were 1,000+ wickets takers were playing against us. But they didn't have a history to look at them, observe them, learn the techniques so that you can go and outbeat them in the field. That's what precisely I want to mention. Institution doesn't matter, right? Hierarchy doesn't matter. If you have the agility to unlearn yourself, and our finding is excellence is coming from tier 2, tier 3 cities. So I was interviewing a guy this morning, and he's a BTech, right? I mean, we have a different challenge, Adam, in this country. A BTech from Kolkata, BTech from Delhi, BTech from Chennai, and BTech from Bangalore, they are all BTech students. You put them in one room, you'll find the variances comes. That's a disparity we have in the education system. So this guy who is from a tier 3 city, when I was interviewing them, I asked him about his score. I asked him that you are from a well-to-do family. Why haven't you wanted to go to Roorkee or RECs of the globe? His answer is everything simple, sir. Whatever knowledge, certification which I'll gain by remembering and memorizing things and putting that on a piece of paper for 2 hours means nothing for me. All the information is there in my palm. I have a Google and I get the information. I don't need to go to learn algorithm from there. The point which I'm trying to make is that the youngsters, the world order is changing. We have a failed system everywhere. Hierarchy from kindergarten to graduation. It's absolutely a failed system. You're testing somebody's caliber and competency. By the competency, what he has to memorize something and present that into our system. By saying this, I'm not saying education is not needed. All I'm trying to say is that time now we may have to relook into our ability. The most valued company, for example, this morning news, TCS has already overtaken Accenture in terms of value. But the most valued company in today's context, I can tell them the 50 or 100 companies in the country, they're not manpower intensive at all. There are 10-member team, 20-member team, 50-member team, youngsters, 23, 24 years old, and the world is buzzing with activity. The pandemic has taught a lot of things. I mean, the functional reporting, metric reporting, building hierarchy will take a backseat. My prediction is down the line 3 years at the most. And to answer you, Madhusmita, 1 minute, the world will obviously be taken over by artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning. Having said this, it cannot replace manpower. All will happen is that the manpower need to upskill themselves. Newer skills you need to find. Instead of becoming a scheduler, which you're currently doing as part of your role in a hierarchy-driven organization, you really got to be a manager where you got to apply your intellect in making a decision, informed decision, right? That's what happened to IBM's, the first surgery, what it did, right? With that comment, I wanted to say, all that we learned is not wrong, but all that we learned need to be replaced with fresh thought process, and that's, I call it, excellence of learning. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
And that is also, Ravi, about upskilling, as we keep saying that we should need to upskill ourselves. Yeah, thank you.
Hey, Adam, you would like to add to this?
Yeah, and so Ravi, I want to say I can't agree with you more, right? So the problem is not with the tool. The problem was with how we behave within the tool. The hierarchy, its use as a way for grading and rating and reporting structure and for promotion and for earnings is outdated. However, the hierarchy, especially in a large multinational, plays a significant role when it comes to defining and distilling strategy from, if you think of a large multinational with 300,000 people in multiple business units, there's one element that's responsible to understand the needs of the board and the shareholder. Then they break down strategy for others, and then that's distilled down to actionable strategy that people can work on day to day. So when we look at ways to use the hierarchy in a fast-moving world, it's not about reporting structure and it's not about promotion opportunities. It's about breadth versus depth. When you have a more senior role in the hierarchy or a broader role, your decisions and the things that you do impact the breadth of the company. And we want to decentralize the tactical execution to the knowledge workers and the people with the skill and the knowledge. And this does also require leveling how we treat compensation and responsibility and respect within the hierarchy. So again, just like any tool, the tool can be used for good or the tool can be used for evil. We need to pivot that tool to fit the needs of today, which will allow us to move at the speed of innovation. And I'm good.
Thanks, Adam.
So Adam, I worked in the two iconic brand of United States of America, that too from the same city. On the right-hand side used to be Xerox, on the left-hand side is Kodak. I worked for both the companies. I mean, the most successful examples of hierarchy which you defined about. Later, sometime in early 2000, Xerox went back. They stopped believing in hierarchy. They redid everything called processes. And that's how many multinational companies are pretty successful. And Kodak was little late in adapting to that. I think I agree to the point. The definition of hierarchy is all about processes in case if we want to succeed. Otherwise, TCS would not have become the most valued company today in the globe.
Okay, great discussion. Let's move on. So next question is for Madhu. Madhu, what do you think? How the diversity-led excellence, has made organization more resilient. What's your thought on that?
Yes, thanks, Praveen, for asking that. Actually, I come from where I'm working currently. I'm from UAE. There are around more than 50 nationalities working here. So any company you go, any organization you go, you will have more than 50 nationalities present in an organization. So when you pull in all these nationalities over here, pandemic has shown actually how the different thought process, different culture, different mindset, different attitude comes together, give the best synergy output forward. Saying so, I will also focus on the diversity that we have, women versus men. So I could see many women professionals attending this our live session. I want to focus on them by saying that whenever there are any opportunity coming across, never say no to that, because usually we as a young women professionals, when we have a transition and we carry a baggage of loads, and when you transit from being a daughter to spouse and to a mother, and there are a lot of opportunities coming around, we keep a sit back and we don't go forward it. So that is something which we really need to focus on that and take the opportunity. Don't say no to it. Just have a priority set. And we are being blessed with so much of multi-skill options, blessed by God to have this multitasking thing. We must do it. We must take it. And being a woman in this panel, I will shout out to all young women watching this show. Please be focused and carry forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Madhu. And that's, we are so glad to have you representing all the women here.
Yes, I'm so glad to be part of this panel also.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so Jagdish sir, anything you would like to add on the diversity angle?
No, I think she has said everything that is so important. And I think you see today in any organization, you can see now women taking the leadership positions at units. Can you imagine somebody leading a unit head in a conglomerate like Aditya Birla Group? So today I see people, and we are so open to giving the women the choice to pick what they want to do. On the other hand, just look at what they are capable of. I think we have completely underutilized their capability. I think for the first time, all of us are realizing how important it is. Not just because there is a metric that you need to meet, but every behavior change starts with a metric, and then it does wonders. So we all started the metric saying that you have to improve your diversity, and then realize that through some years, if you have the right people, right set of people, you don't need the metrics anymore. So my thought is, I think organizations have realized how important it is, and they are now pretty much across the board. There are examples of success, right from starting from the first 18-hour flight being piloted by 3 Air India, pilots. Well, what else can you say better than that? They are everywhere today. There are many examples. So I completely agree and fully support it. And everybody is doing wonders today. Everybody of our units where we have put young leaders, sustainability officer in IT, I have a lot of people in digital, I have a lot of people in manufacturing, a lot of people. So they're all over the place.
Thank you, Jagdish. Okay. So I have a last question actually, and then we'll go to our audience questions. So the question is to Adam. So what do you think, how critical is the role of workforce, and how you keep motivating the workforce to contribute the, sustaining culture of excellence? So what's your thought on that, Adam?
So we touched on this in the beginning, right? People are motivated by purpose and feeling like they're contributing to the greater good. So the most important thing that a leadership team can give to its team to keep that motivation is a clear intent, vision, and purpose. What are we here to do? How do we intend to make a difference in the world? And what do we stand for intrinsically? One of the things that I always believed in when I was running my company, and one of the things I admire most about my current organization is the commitment to giving back. So one of the things that I think is most empowering for our team is that we commit to the pledge 1%, right? So having the ability that for everything that we do, 1% goes back to charity. 1% of our equity goes to charity. We also do give back days. So every teammate that we have has one day where they can take throughout the year and they can volunteer time to any organization they want. As teams, when we do team building, we'll go as a team and help others. So for us, it's multi-pronged. So the mission for us at Scaled Agile is to make the world a better place to work for people, right? We want people to have all of the things that we've discussed. Clear intent and purpose, clear mission. We want them to be able to go to work without having to worry about a lot of the politicking and just focus on delivering value. But then even beyond that, more personally for us, it's how can we take our time and the good fortune that we have to help others who do not necessarily have those fortunes. And one thing that I've learned in business over the years, well, two things, right? There's going to be people in business who, no matter what you do, no matter what you say and how you try and help, they're not going to be great people. And that's just the harsh reality of the world. The other thing that I've learned on the opposite end of the spectrum is if you give back and help others, good fortune will follow. So that's something that I think if more business is focused on, allowing their people to help others, if they promoted people giving time and money to others and then do the same, I think you'll have people that are more dedicated to the team, not just the customer, but the mission, because they can feel like they're making a difference in their community and the world. Dan Pink says it. I mean, people want transcendent purpose. And it's our job as employers and leaders and owners of businesses to give them that purpose. Not every business is going to have a glamorous transcendent purpose, but we can always make sure that no matter what it is that we do, we're making an impact on the world. If you're producing, I don't know, Post-it notes, it's not glamorous, but if you take the money that you make from those Post-it notes and the capacity you have as a team and take that fortune and you take the talent of your team and allow them to make an impact on others, then you're doing the correct mission for all of us as humans, and you're creating an environment where your team's going to be loyal and dedicated.
Thank you, Adam. Great insight. Thanks. Ravi, you want to add a quick point here?
No. I think slightly might sound a little digressing out of the topic. I have a German friend of mine who educates 250 odd PhD scholars in Sanskrit in Germany. And none of the Indians apply for PhD in Sanskrit in Germany. Okay, the oldest language, mother of all language, and we have given that out of our country. Germany is the only country which is teaching. So I keep on talking to him every now and then. He said that the power of excellence, you can call about people excellence, performance excellence, technology excellence, you can keep on talking, multiple arena. He supplemented the entire stuff with one word to me. He said, Ravi is all about ekagrasithya. Those who understand Sanskrit, they will understand the meaning of ekagrasithya. The world is all about focus. The order is all about focus. The results is all about focus. The human skills, enhancement, the purpose of you being is all about focus. And I would say that whatever Adam has said, and many of the panelists, I would put that in one small capsule in a Sanskrit call. Everything concludes with ekagrasithya. That's what I want to say. Thanks, Praveen.
Thank you, Ravi. Okay, so one just follow-up question. Yeah, just one follow-up question. Anandji, you have something? Yes, please.
No, go ahead. We will take the audience questions. Yeah.
Okay. So in the future, this question is for Jagdish. Like how will enterprises differentiate themselves from ordinary organization versus exemplary organizations in the future?
Okay, so let's talk about resilient organizations of the future, right? And that's the current. Having seen the COVID, what's happened today, let me just few things I definitely know is going to differentiate all of us in future. One is, of course, I strongly believe that you must have a very strong purpose, which you are able to. So purpose-driven organizations, number one. Number two is, of course, tactically you can look at it, or strategically you can look at it, being digital. There's absolutely no choice for you but to become digitally savvy. I'm not talking about having applications and models all over the place, but are you going to make your workforce digital? And third one is definitely being agile. And I go completely with Ravi's definition, not the traditional quality definition. Yeah, okay. Your ability to respond and your ability to basically look at sustainability of the society. So these four, I mean, there are 10 commandments, but I just want to put these four as my top priority, which I see as organization success in future is going to be on purpose driven. Number two, digitally savvy and how much you're going to adopt technology. Number three, your ability to change with times very quickly and having a plan B always, which needs to be put in place, which means innovation and agility. Number four is focus on sustainability and broader society, not just, it's not anymore about just you. So these are four things I will pick. And this is very critical for us.
Great, Jagdish, great insight. Madhu, you would like to add anything to this point? How companies will differentiate?
Yes, I think most of it has been already covered by the previous panelists, but I only want to highlight one point, which is extended of what others have told. There will be shift definitely from spoken culture to enacted culture. So there will be very much differentiation of what people are speaking now, and then they will be jumping and they have to prove it on the what they are talking. So there will be transition from spoken culture to enacted culture, and where there will be culture of perspectives where we'll be holding to our principles. So all this technology and everything will be on one side, but also ethics, integrity, that will be also hold to heart to continue in future of excellence.
Thank you, Madhu. Thank you.
That's what we call 3 C's, Madhusmita. The character, which means the value what you create within the system. Then we talk about the competency, then consistency.
Consistency,
Consistency. This is what the formulation of any excellence program which you need to drive in an organization. Thanks. I think you brought it out very well. Yeah, thanks.
Okay. So let me quickly check with Arvindam. Arvindam, do we have any questions from our audience?
So let me start, Arvindam. So first of all, let me thank Praveen. I think a round of applause for Praveen for doing a wonderful job and a great insight shared by experts. And as we heard, the experts probably know what was done best in the past, but we need to know what will be best in the future. So we need future designers. So we have experts, but we need future designers. And I know a lot of future designers in the audience who are asking a lot of questions. Let me first take the questions which have come over the registration process. Though I may not be able to call out the name, but let me thank all those of people who have sent in their questions through the registration process, where we ask them that what are the challenges which you are facing in your organization in sustaining culture of excellence. The good part is the lot of points which have been brought out by the experts have also come in as a part of the question. They want to know from the expert that how they have done it in their organization, how it can be addressed. So right in the first one, the question goes, as Jagdish mentioned, about the mindset. So the question is around the mindset, and the same question live also has been asked by Rajnikanta. So the question goes something like, how do we address the issues like the mindset organization, and how do they address the lack of teamwork and consistency, which become hindrance for sustaining the culture of excellence? So I would, maybe Jagdish, mindset was the point which you brought about, or any other panelist. I would love to have this answer on behalf of the audience. Thank you.
So you want me to take it? Can I take it, Anand? You want me to take it?
You can,
Yes,
yeah,
Jagdish.
mindset was
So
the
I
key.
think it's a very difficult question because mindset change has a lot of aspects. But let me pick 2 or 3 things which matters. One is excellence is all about what do you expect the organization and everybody in the organization to actually behave in a particular way. So what do you set the tone in terms of what do you expect? How do you set the right expectations? Like again, Ravi mentioned about it, right? When he took over, all he said was, look, focus, and this is what better align. So that's first one is the mindset of people, all of us align to what people do around us, what people talk about us. So you have to be clear what you expect from the organization. If it's customer centricity, say so and behave in the way that it is demonstrated by everybody. So first, how do you set the mindset is clearly set what your vision is. And again, we can go through purpose, vision, mission, all of that. But end of the day, translate that into what is expected from every individual organization. See, mindset is 2 things. One is clarity of expectation to people. The way we have purpose-driven, mission-driven, we can talk. I don't think everybody in the organization can understand what does it mean. So to have the mindset, first is translate exactly what you want them to do at each level and hold them accountable for living to that expectation. And if you see somebody deviating, people have to see consequence. Consequence of not acting the way you're expected to act is what you will set a mindset in a very, I would say, in an organization where you have to make a change. But if I had a choice of starting a new organization, I will do the mindset at the way I recruit the people. So you have to look at both. Many of us don't have the choice of a startup like what Ravi had, where you could recruit the right people right from the beginning. If you are so setting a mindset is very different when you start your own small company, younger company, to doing it in a larger company which has existed for a long time, and you want to bring a change in mindset. Very different solutions have to be worked out. But it is about consistency of the leadership messaging, consistency of your behavior, consistency of what you talk, consistency of what you do is what is going to change the mindset. And it's a long drawn process.
Jagdish, to just add, mine is not a startup company. It's a 30-year-old company brand. I acquired the company, and I was the only new animal in the block when I acquired the company, and I was a whole-time director and CEO deputed from the group which I represent. To add on to what you said, the only one point which I want to add is India is slightly a complex country, 3,800 plus dialects. We are close to 24 official languages. And of course, Tulu's written language is absolutely gone. Education is different, background is different, cultural dimension is different. The only connecting point from Kashmir to Kanyakumari is English. And we all speak our own English, even though we claim that to be English. In my opinion, when you are a leader, if you really want to encourage the mindset to get synchronized for the sad vision which you spoke about, all you need to do is break it down so simple that it becomes a DNA, part of his DNA of the employee. The guy who's standing at the entrance greeting you, Namaste, sir, welcome to our organization, to the guy who is sitting on a AC chamber designing strategy. If you can simply decode that and help him to make that as part of his DNA, you achieve the success. You're helping the people to have the mindset of shared vision. I mean, sounds very simple, but you require a lot amount of a consistency in putting the thought process in the mind, aligning people to speak the same language. That's where most of the MNCs were successful. They believed in processes more than people. In India, it's slightly a different story that along with processes, you also need to carry your own people.
Very good point. So I just want to ask a follow-up question. So one question came from audience. These days, due to COVID, everybody's working from home, and everybody, seems to be working, at least 12 to 14 hours, especially in the IT space. So how do you motivate the workforce, and how do you keep, the purpose viable, in addition to, motivating the team? Anything you would like to add, Jagdish, sir?
Okay, so for me, it's very easy. Make them work 8 hours, let them enjoy some time with the family, and give accountability. Don't micromanage people. I mean, this is something that all us managers and leaders, we have to really, really get used to it. Because if you're going to see this as a long-term thing that's going to happen, I think you have to make it sustainable by, respecting people's time. Of course, we don't do. I myself is a great bad example of that. But realization is important first. That yes, it is going to be a long-term. Respect our time, and second, your ability to focus on the outcomes. Now, this is very, very important. As a managers, we all say, "What did you do today?" Rather than shift saying, "I'm not going to ask you what you're doing, but as long as you deliver this in 15 days, 30 days, you're okay." Empowerment has to be very highest order if you have to succeed as a company in this new challenging times.
Thank you, Jagdish. Madhu, you would like to add any perspective from UAE? How you are managing?
Definitely, because in UAE also and in any part of the world, it is the same. There are management where they keep records and what are you doing. And there are other companies also where I hear from other my friends, colleagues outside. They say that no, there is very task driven. If you deliver, it is done. So the thing is that you should respect, and especially they have there are Muslims and there are other nationalities where we have perpetually time period defined for their prayers and all that. So we respect. So being in UAE, we respect that, and that is what UAE government talks about, the tolerance thing that we have. So it is very different from other countries, I must say, where there is respect and there is tolerance and non-interference if you are task driven. But irrespective of that, there are still companies where they have to be hands-on and they need reporting and they need 24/7 connectivity. So it always depends on what is the management mindset is.
Thank you.
So,
thank you.
Okay, good. So I think I will request Arvindam to take the question from the live feed. I have 5 more questions to go, but we'll take one after another. Let one be come from the live feed. Yeah, over to you, Arvindam.
Yeah, Arvindam just pasted one question around change management. So
Sure.
I think, Adam, I would like you to respond to that. So someone asked, what about change management? Every, moment is, there is a change. And can you throw some light there?
Yeah, I love this topic. When we talk about moving faster and delivering value faster, there's this whole concept of change fatigue, right? So we talk about resiliency and we talk about adaptability. We all have so much coming at us every single day that if we can't assure that our changes are landing well with our customers, we're going to lose them. And with this, we have to consider the psychology of change. And we also have to monitor how much change is taking place at any given point in time. So one of the philosophies, it was actually created by a woman who I used to consult with. It's this concept of change management, or I'm sorry, a change air traffic control radar. And what we want to do is understand where change is in its different stages, right? So what is impacting the team today, what's coming next, what's on the further horizon, and how we prepare and communicate those changes based on when they're anticipating the impact to take place. And when we also start monitoring change in terms of where it's coming from, what change are we imposing on people? What changes are happening to us? What changes are happening as a result of outside variables? We can really start to understand the perfect timing of introducing change. So when we talk about organizational change management as a discipline, and we look at the people who do that as professionals, they are so important and probably becoming even more important as we start increasing the rate at which change hits the world. Dan Pink, in his latest book, Win, I think the rest of it's called Win, The Science of Perfect Timing, I believe. But he talks about how all people are different in terms of not just in how they function day to day with their circadian rhythms and things like that, but how they process change. And if you start including those elements in your personas and both internal and externally facing, we can start to do our best to minimize the impact of change, to avoid change saturation, and be prepared to respond to the emotional response that will inevitably follow whatever changes that we do release. So again, it's in the world that we're in today. If you think back to large software releases from days gone by where we just had big batches of change pushed at us and we had to deal with it because we didn't have a lot of options, people have options today. And if you create a scenario where your change doesn't land well, they'll probably break up with you and go to your competitor just due to that negative experience. So we need to make sure that we're proactively managing change, employing the people who do this professionally and leverage their great skills.
Thank you. Great
Yeah,
insight.
so on the similar lines, we have the audience question. Though Adam, you have answered, but maybe the question is very straightforward. How can the experts share few tips? How do they address resistance to change? So I know a lot of points have been shared by Adam, but this question is very well faced by many people. How do we really address the resistance to change? So any of the panelists want to share their experience? Yeah, Ravi is raising the hand.
I'll give a one flavor of my own recent experience of acquiring an entity. The resistance happens in a system when the concerned employee don't see a big question runs in the mind. What is in it for me? Okay. So managers, most of them spend time in terms of talking about the performance metrics, which is fixed through KPIs and KRAs, etc., etc. But leaders really need to pay way in terms of making the last mile to understand what is in it for me is the same thing which is in it for you as well. As long as the bridge is not connected, you will continue to have resistance. I call them corridor talking guys. In the coffee machine, they stand and they keep talking about that. But interestingly, resistance is part of life. That's what the prison break experience talks to us. If any of you read about the experiment, but fortunately, it is a constant communication. A leader working as an enabler within the system, you can't go to sleep thinking my house is in order. Come to the workplace expecting something which you never expected. And I mean, that's the only way to sail through that. I mean, I've not practically seen resistance will go away overnight by putting 1 + 2 = 3 formula. Right?
Adam, I saw you wanted to add something here.
Yeah, I think to very simply state it, and it's very close to tied to what Ravi's saying, is we've got to focus on the why. When we focus on the change itself, I mean, nobody wants to change, right? Change is hard. It's not fun. Like, nobody wants to do it. There's got to be a reason why. So, if you think of most people this time of year, in the beginning of the year, they're trying to improve their health. Well, and improving your health is hard because good food tastes really good. Exercise is difficult. The mornings are cold. Like, that change is hard. I don't want to do it. But if you focus on the outcome, well, why do I want to change? Because I'm less susceptible to COVID, because I'll lead a healthier, stronger life. I can better interact with my children and their children. Well, when you think about those things, it's a little bit easier to choose the healthier dinner. It's a little bit easier to force yourself to go do some exercise. So always focusing on the why. Why are we changing? If you can anchor yourself in that end state, the day-to-day difficulty of change becomes a little bit less difficult. So always anchor in why.
Thanks, Adam.
Adam, you made me very conscious. I did a tummy tuck in.
Can I add to this? One or two?
Yeah, Jagdish. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. So I think let me just add to what Ravi said in terms of what is in it for me. But when you talk about change management, there are two things. One is, why should we change as an organization? Second is, why should I change as a person? So both have to be mapped. And the way it happens in practical reality is, you can communicate, you can say we need to change for this reason. You can get consultants, put PowerPoints, all of that. Finally, I think it's important for you to understand and pick those people who you think are going to be passionate about this change and demonstrate it. Identify those quick early adopters, right? Take them and start to reward the change. People should see that if this is what is expected and if somebody is demonstrating that, he is getting recognized. I think that's a very subtle message you're sending to others, that if you change, it's good for you. If you don't change, well, you can be where you are. And getting everybody to agree why you need to change is impossible. Okay, so you have to have, at some point, you have to have a consequence of not changing. So you have to have 2-3 things going together. Identify your early adopters, take them on board, demonstrate the change. Identify those people who are never going to adopt, even though they understand the rationale, everything is clear, they're not going to adopt, and have to differentiation in terms of what you want to do with these people, and communicate. Clarity of communication is extremely important. After that, take further steps.
Thank you, Aaron. And thanks, Jagdish ji. So, Arvindam, do we have any more questions from our Facebook or YouTube?
Yeah, from the live.
Questions as such, there is one question that came in. Vision, mission, policy, and strategy should be in place, but can someone talk more about it? But I think Jagdish already spoke about it. Like vision, mission, policy, and strategy should be there, but more than that, mindset is more important. I think that question is already answered.
Thank you.
Okay, so let me move over to the question which had come from the audience through the registration process. The question is how. So we all talked about that we need to be adapting to the new technologies. The question is related to that. How do we really promote adoption of new technologies at the same time address the cost impact? Some experiences on that direction.
I'll give a little start to that.
Can you repeat the question? Sorry, Anand, there was a little bit of a voice drop.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah, so what I'm saying, so we all talked about that we need to adopt new technologies. So the question is around how do we enable adoption of new technologies at the same time address the cost impact in the organization?
Sure. So I think one thing to consider is, again, what are the goals? What are we trying to accomplish as an organization? I think too often people in companies will go to trade shows and they'll see a really cool demo and they'll buy a tool, but they don't buy it for any particular purpose. They just bought it because they were excited and maybe somebody bought them dinner. I think what's important is, again, to kind of go back to the previous question. If we're clear on our vision and mission, what are we trying to accomplish and how do we want to show up? And then be very clear about how we intend to get there through either our operational architecture, our technical architecture, or any of these things. We need to be deliberate about where we're spending our money. If the right technology emerges and it's expensive, but it helps us achieve our competitive advantage, then it's not a question of, it shouldn't be a question of cost. It needs to be a question of, we need to reallocate cash, reprioritize to make that happen. There's a video that I like. It's the comparison is a Formula One racing pit stop from 1950. And in 1950, it took about a minute to do a pit stop. And the contrasting video is from 2015, where it takes less than 10 seconds. The goal for any race is to get through the course as fast as you possibly can. In order to accomplish that, you have to intentionally architect for speed. And to do that, you've got to hire the right people on the team. You've got to give them the right skills. You have to build the car intentionally with the purpose of being able to get in and out of the pit stop fast. So the contrast is, again, in 1950, there's somebody standing there changing the tire with a hammer. In 2015, they've got the pneumatic air guns that do an entire tire change in less than a second. You had to spend money to make that happen. You had to spend a lot of money in terms of technology and skill. But when your goal is to get through as fast as you possibly can, you have no choice if you want to remain competitive but to make those investments. So again, it goes back to that vision. What are you trying to accomplish? If there's tools that emerge that will help you accomplish that vision, you have to find the money because it's the right thing to do. And the consequence, if you don't do it, could mean that you're no longer competitive.
Great insight, Adam. Thank you. Anandji, back to you.
Just to add one word to Adam. Anand, you are on mute.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, Ravi. Go ahead, Ravi.
I think, Adam, in a nutshell, the survival of the business in the new era, post-pandemic, is those organizations and enterprises which can put a plan in place, be it technology or otherwise. Speed in execution alone can take you far. As simple as that. In one word to say that. That's the speed is all about. Speed is excellence, which will take the enterprises to the future era. Anand, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm sure all the participants who had submitted these questions, they are getting the insight from the experts through these answers. I have 3 more questions to go. So again, from the audience, the question is about, we did talk about, that the new ways of working will require changes in the management structure and the management system. The question is around the same. how do we address complex organization structure related issues, as well as the question is about the ethics issues. So how do we address this complex organization structure related issues and ethics issues, which sometimes become the bottleneck in sustaining culture of excellence?
Can I take it?
Yep, that's good.
So I will answer the first one, and of course, second one, it depends on the culture. The first one I think is currently in the what we call agility. If you want to delayer the organization, bring down the number of layers, just do it. So, like Ravi said, right, it's all about execution. So one is delayer, cut the hierarchy, encourage collaboration. So you just have to do it, because if you are looking at speed and agility, an organization that is going to be the old style is not going to work. So take the hard step of cutting down the layers, empower the people at the ground level, and trust that your people will deliver, and let the decision making happen at the lower levels, of course, with proper internal controls built in. Okay, so that is one way actually to address the, how do you get things moving on the ground? Today's organizations have to be almost flat, and those days are gone where you have different layers, and you can see all over the world it's happening now, right? For you to survive in the new age, better get the empowerment down to the last layer. On ethics, I have only one value. You live your value and walk the talk by the leadership, and have sufficient systems to audit and figure out. You have all systems like the whistleblowers. Everything is there today, but it's a question of how effectively do you handle all those systems and make it. People see by examples. You have to show by example that something like this is absolutely not acceptable. People have to see that you are absolutely clear about consequence of if you see happening around you. You cannot be preaching and not taking action.
Thanks, Jagdish. Very good point. Anandji, in the interest of time, I think, should we conclude, or do you have more questions? You are on mute, Anandji.
Let's take two more questions and quickly address them so that we address the audience questions. So next question is, I think, very popular one, which we have all been talking about, this agile. So the question is all about this safe agile, scaled agile, that how we can really quickly adopt the practices of agile for sustaining culture of excellence. So some tips on adoption of agile.
Adam, you want to take it?
So there's no way to do it quickly, right? Everything that we talked about to this point today, that's making a significant shift to the way that not only your organization behaves in terms of product delivery, but how it behaves day to day in every aspect. So again, I think the quickest path is to start with why. Why do we want to make this change? We don't want to become agile just because Harvard Business Review and the internet says it's the cool thing to do. What problem are we trying to solve? And if you can focus on that problem, and again, the goal of agile, the goal of scaled agile, it's not to do all of the things on our big picture. The goal is to figure out what is the problem you're trying to solve, and then what is the leanest subset of this total solution that you can adopt to address your organization's needs. I think it's also valuable to look at it as a toolkit and then do your job as a change agent and as a leader to understand all of the tools in the toolkit and not take all of the words very deliberately, but figure out how to apply the best intention of these tools to our context. The goal of agility when it was first created in 2001, and I think people sometimes lose sight of the context. In 2001, when that manifesto was written, there was a group of software managers who were trying to figure out how they survive in light of disruption being brought forth by the internet. And the answer was, we need to build trust, transparency, and open, honest communication in the system. We need to focus more on creating intuitive solutions. We need to put the customer first, quality first, and be adaptable because change is coming fast. And that's still relevant in 2021 because those same circumstances that were facing that group of people in 2001 are facing literally every industry in 2021. Everybody can be disrupted. Nobody's immune. So how do we prevent it? Well, we need to put our customers first. We need to collaborate. We need to focus on intuitive solutions. The words software are throughout the manifesto, but the intent of every statement in there can address, quite honestly, most any business challenge that we face today. If we communicate, if we focus on outcomes, if we focus on the customer, and we adapt to change, we'll probably be in a better position to win in the marketplace. So again, it's not easy. You're not going to flip a switch and do it overnight. But if you focus on the intent and you focus on the problems to solve and applying the correct tools to your context, you can start moving faster. And I think, like Ravi and Madhu and others have said, you've got to focus on what's in it for me, what's in it for the employee. Why do I want to make this change? Where is it going to take us? How is it going to make a broader impact on the community? And then when you can do that, change becomes easier.
Great. Thanks, Adam. So I'll just take, Praveen, I'll just take the last one. So we all have been hearing about this knowledge management. The question is around how this knowledge management is going to help in sustaining the culture of excellence. So maybe quick one on this, and then we will come to.
I'll just quickly, I don't want to add many. See, the intellectual or the intelligence manifestation, Anand, in the years to come will be left to machines. The intelligence and intellectual manifestation in the years to come in the enterprise and business world will be left to machines. The human beings will be necessitated to handle a voluminous analyzed data in terms of decision making. That means the future is all about execution, knowledge management, more than intelligence here. And you know, it's a data-driven world, as Jagdish was mentioning, that be prepared to adapt digital. In the digital era, this is what precisely going to happen, right? So that's what my take from your question. I don't know whether other panelists will agree to this, but this is the way I would like to summarize that.
No, great. I think looking at the time, Praveen, you had something to say.
Yeah, I just want to thank you all the panelists. And today, I think we heard so many great ideas regarding the culture of excellence. And I'm pretty sure, you know, you all have got some insight into this topic. And now, you know, try and see how you can apply those learning into your respective areas and respective organizations. So I really enjoyed the session, and thank you again. Thank you all.
So I think we had a wonderful session, wonderful insights, and I'm sure the audience has taken away a lot, certainly more than what they expected from this session. So we are coming closer to the end of the session. So as a second last agenda, I invite our expert panelists to share a song or a poem, whatever they are close to their heart. And after that, I will request Mr. Bala to do vote of thanks. So with this, I now invite the panelists. Whosoever, just one. Yeah.
For some reason, I don't know why, all eyes are on Madhusmita now.
Ah, wow, great.
And
because she's one taken on so many others. So with the diversity, I think we give full responsibility to her. Yeah.
I think that I took on right because all of you supported. Without all the men support, we cannot. So
Yes.
thumbs up. And as we were talking on
There's a
Adam,
man. There's a man in every woman.
it's vice versa also. Yeah, true. So as we're talking of gratitude and all that volunteering, and as Adam was highlighting how volunteering plays a major role in expressing your humbleness and happiness also. So I will have a closing poem on that. It is definitely not written by me, but it's been written by one Hollywood actress who does a lot of social work. So it goes like that. For attractive lips, speak word of kindness. For lovely eyes, seek out the good in people. For a slim figure, share your food with the hungry. For a beautiful hair, let a child run his finger along with it. For poise, walk with the knowledge that you never walk alone. People, even more than things, have to be restored, renewed, revived, reclaimed, and redeemed, never throw out anyone. Remember, if you ever need a helping hand, you will find one at the end of your arm. As you grow older, you will discover that you have two hands, one for helping yourself and the other for helping others. So that's the closing poem. And I want to tell this to all young leaders out here listening to us. Volunteer so that you learn from that how to be humble and how to be happy and express gratitude. Thank you.
I consider myself among
Thank
the
you.
youngsters.
Thank you, Madhusmita. Great. Thank you very much. Over to you, Bala sir.
Thanks, Anand. What starts well ends well, and I think it was very clearly demonstrated today. Let me start by thanking, first of all, the platform provider, the 10 News live channel. It was a surprise for us that Anand could collaborate with them to live stream, live telecast this event and the next 2 days. Thanks to them. Secondly, definitely I thank the panelists from across the world. They have taken their time out to talk today. And in summary, if I have to say that the organization's dynamics and the behavior were dissected to the finest point, and each of the point, the speakers considered what constitutes excellence, what was in the past, what we had to unlearn, and what will continue the success in future. They were, deliberated very well. And I think it was a very, very comprehensive look of ensuring the continuity of the culture of excellence in an organization. Ravi did mention that organizations are not today designed to last, but to adapt. I think by adapting, they learn to last. So we achieve the purpose nevertheless. So I also take this opportunity on behalf of IQA for the participants who have taken their time to listen to the luminaries in this panel, and at the same time would like to thank the IQA team under the leadership of Anand Prakash, which has put together this wonderful session and designed it appropriately. It worked in a very clockwork precision. Anand took care of all the aspect of running an event like this, and to him and all the members of the IQA team that made it happen, my sincere thanks to them. Looking forward to the next 2 days, which are going to be equally exciting, different dimension, from the business to education to social sector. And I think they are all intertwined, and looking forward to the next 2 days. Over to you, Anand.
Yeah, thanks. I think thanks everybody. I had wonderful 90 minutes of my life. I'm sure everybody also had it. And it was wonderful to have you all. A great, great thank you to all. Thanks to audience. Thanks to panelists. Namaskar. Thank you.
Namaskar. Namaskar. Thank you so much, Anand. Pleasure
Thank
meeting
you.
all of
Thank
you.
you so much.
Thank you, Anand, everybody. Pleasure meeting all of you.
Great.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.